Rolling!
Rolling! Welcome along to another episode of Mildly Informed with me, Richie Firth, him, Chris Skinner. I think it's fair to say both of us appear to be in good spirits.
Not only are we in good spirits, it looks like both of us have had a nice haircut, Rich. So we are feeling good and looking sharp.
I'm in good spirits. I don't feel overly sharp because of something that I want to come on to that happened to me last night, but we'll talk about that shortly. The aim of this podcast is to leave you informed, but only mildly. That's why it's called Mildly Informed. But if you do want to interact with us, then you can. mildlyinformedpod@gmail.com, or of course, in any of the socials on our YouTube or the TikTok videos, at Producer Chris or at Richie Firth.
Interesting you should say that, Rich, because there has been some chat on the socials about one of the things we discussed on the show last week. You went into one of your surprising rants about hotel TVs and your frustration with them, and it struck a chord. There was definitely people who agreed with you. However, there was also a range of opinions that were shared. May I share some of these with you here?
Always is.
Your mum wrote a comment, "Who cares? I only stay at a hotel for sleep, not watching TV." Okay, thanks. Red Basil, just take it out of hotel mode. And I was like, well, that's not very clear. To which Mr. Galaxy then followed up, TV is in store mode in hotels. If you Google the brand of TV, it will give you a code to enter in the remote to change it to home mode. Then it will work normally.
I think both of those last two comments underlined the fact that I was right when I ranted about hotels and TVs. I just want it to be a TV.
Well, there we go. There's some solutions here. Although Rich said, how dare the hotel advertise themselves on their own TVs?
The hotel don't need to advertise themselves on their own TVs because we're in there already. They don't need to advertise anything else.
Which is what Sai said in response to that. So you and Sai are kindred spirits. I said that I had researched and I had discovered that there was special kind of TVs that they bought in bulk, which I stand by. But James disagrees. It's just a normal TV. So thanks, James, for your interaction. And then my favourite comment of the week, which reflected a certain subsection of the comments. Oh no, life is hard. That was from Julian. Alongside a mixture of, first world problems, and this sounds like an hour of fun to listen to which I replied only 40 minutes, but still, thank you.
Please, all of your comments are welcome in the usual places.
I slightly disagree with that, but most of your comments are welcome.
Chris, do you know if it's possible to claim back sleep from the RAF?
Well, that's a question that no one else has asked me before, but I feel, Richie, that you've had something happen to you. Have you been at war?
I've not been at war, and as this episode goes out to the ears of our listener, I don't believe that I still am. However, at 1:30 overnight, 1:30 last night, and I wasn't going to talk about this, Chris. I didn't want to review or inform people about my night last night. But at 1:30 in the morning, I was awokened and I genuinely thought that the house was falling down. But it wasn't, because at 1:30 last night in the morning, a Chinook helicopter flew over the top of my house at a mere 1,000 feet. I promise you, I thought that the house was falling down. Even worse, that it was the end of the world.
Okay, I've just Googled Chinook just to be sure. They're the big boys with the double propellers, aren't they? They're the ones that you see in the war movies.
They are indeed. They are the double propellered helicopters that kind of fly around about like 25 degrees if you're looking at them from side on. And I'm certain that it was one of these, not because I rushed out of bed and looked out of the window, but because I looked at my phone. I keep Flight Radar as one of the apps to monitor what's constantly going on. And it showed me that it was a Chinook helicopter that had taken off from somewhere southwest of Peterborough and had then flown due south all the way. And coincidentally, I suppose, had flown right over the top of my house at 1:30 in the morning. Now, of course, I'm awake and I'm inquisitive. I want to know what's going on. Where's this thing flying? The news agenda at the moment isn't much fun. I was thinking to myself, oh no, has everything finally kicked off? This is bad. So I looked on Flight Radar to see where this Chinook was going, and it kept on flying south. I could see that it was exactly 1,000 foot as it went over the top of my house. And then when it reached the Millennium Dome, it turned. And this Chinook, now flying at 675 feet, then flew along the course of the Thames. I promise you, Chris, 1:45 in the morning it now was, me still looking at my phone and watching this Chinook helicopter just fly the course of the Thames for nothing other than shits and giggles. Because as I look at my phone now, the following morning, nothing has happened. What the hell were these guys doing? Do they not realise people are sleeping?
I've got so many thoughts about this, Rich. I mean, I am sorry that you lost some sleep because of a very noisy helicopter. Genuinely, no one likes to hear a story of someone losing sleep. It's not a nice experience. But how do you know that Chinook wasn't like chasing off some kind of bad guy and it's not been reported in the news? How do you not know that like some Russian spies were not trying to infiltrate the O2 and they kicked them out via the Thames? Second point, I don't have a lot of faith in our military if Richie Firth, radio presenter, can track the exact movements of our major military vehicles. That to me feels like a security risk.
I think you've got a fair point on the second one. And that's why for me it's a problem. If I'm able to track live this Chinook helicopter and I can see where
Yes.
it's come from, where it's going, the height that it's at, and then follow it, then obviously it can't be a particularly serious mission that they were on. So if that then is a given and they're just messing around, what are they doing? Mess around at another time, not at 1:30 in the morning.
Should pilots, if they're called pilots in a helicopter, I don't know,
Yeah.
aeronauts, okay, should they not get the opportunity to train to fly at night?
Yes, but that's what there's all sorts of places like the Highlands of Scotland for, or the Salisbury
Right.
Plain. You don't need to be going. You don't need to be following the route of the A10 down from Peterborough, and then all the way along the Thames.
Maybe it guided the path much easier. There's not much lights in the Scottish Highlands. Maybe their sat nav was off and they needed to follow the
Well,
roads.
look, I follow the news, Christopher, and I see articles about the Defence Review and public spending. If our military helicopters are having to follow roads and rivers because their sat nav is that ballsed, this country is done.
Okay, you heard it here first. When Britain is invaded by Belgium next year, and we crumble to a nation a fraction of the size of ours, you heard why it happened here first.
If the Russians are listening to this episode of the podcast, honestly, guys, our helicopters are following roads and rivers. That's how bad this is.
I think they are listening because they're like, foiled again at the O2, god damn it.
So yeah, RAF 1 star. Do better. Fly later.
There's nothing like getting behind your troops when they're on the verge of war, is there?
Chris, what has been on your mind this week?
Well, I'm in a much more chilled place. That is, at least I thought I was, until I realised I was spending too much time on social media and slipping into a theme that I have through the Facebook era, then the Twitter era, Instagram, and now TikTok. It always comes down for me to waste hours watching those POV recipes that you see online. I I just can't stop watching them, and they get, because I think they need that cut through, they are getting increasingly mad. I don't know why they are always so egg based as well. They are so egg based in all of them. I saw one, you might quite this. One of them was just drop some egg yolks in a Nutella jar, whisk it, pour that in the oven, and then pour some melted eggs and white chocolate on top. I thought, what the hell is this? There was an episode of The Mighty Boosh once, and there was a character who kept going on about drinking Baileys from a shoe. Essentially, you can now do that via TikTok recipe apps, but you've just got to add extra egg first. Everything. It's like, how about cooking some toasted cheese and eggs? Eggs, eggs, eggs. And I don't think any of them are real recipes or real people. It's just clickbait. I challenge all of our listeners. Have you ever made something with these mad, mad recipes?
Chris, none of it is real. The first point of evidence that none of it is real is when you see them crack their eggs into the bowl on these rapid social media recipes, point of view videos. None of them are then having to go in and pick out bits of shell. They all crack perfect eggs really, really quickly. So in the first second of the video, you can tell this is bullshit.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Rich, so frustrated am I with not just with them, but also myself, because I'm a sucker for it. I thought I would invent my own recipe, and maybe I'll ask AI if it can generate some images to match this. So would you like to hear my social media egg-based cooking recipe?
Please, take it away.
Apocalyptic egg tower souffle lasagna with lava egg yolk drizzle. Prep time 6 hours, eggs needed 97. Ingredients 97 large eggs, preferably from 97 different chickens or other birds. 3 cups of whipped cream cheese, 2 gallons of heavy cream, 1 watermelon rind, 1 baguette shredded, 12 lasagna noodles, 1 ghost pepper, 2 tablespoons of gold flakes, a cup of tears or fog, 7 sprigs of rosemary, 3 pounds of bacon, an octopus tentacle optional, and an industrial whisk. And basically, you just fry it all in a pan, add more eggs, put it in the oven for 2 hours, see what happens. Tasty?
If this truly was a social media point of view recipe, the only thing that you've done wrong there is it needs to be air fried.
Ah, good point. Well, let me pick up on that. I've got another one for you.
Go on.
Flaming kumquat egg mirage with Pinocchio quartet meringue ballet. Prep time 4 hours. Eggs needed 142. No more, no less. Although 6 of those 142 eggs have to be double yolk anomaly eggs. Plus 2 bottles of kumquat liqueur, air fried. 1 pound of powdered sugar. 1 tablespoon of despair. 3 clouds of vanilla essence. 1 mango. Although kumquat can replace the mango as long as you've drawn a mango on the kumquat. Sequins, 4 men named Pinocchio, a ceremonial spatula, and some form of fire.
That's it. That's what they do. You've nailed it.
I'm a chef now.
How many stars are you awarding social media recipes? Because I get your point, and they're absolute nonsense. And the other thing about them is because they're genuinely only about 45 seconds long, no one can cook that quickly. So here's the thing that why they're working so much is because you're having to play the video back so many times.
Yep.
So the social media algorithms are thinking, oh, this is a really popular video because people are looking at it so many times. So it gets pushed to loads more people. No, they're not. It's because it's so quick and impractical. It doesn't really work for the purpose it's being presented.
All right. It's hard to give it 1 star because I have wasted hours and hours of my life on these videos. So they bring something, don't they? If you are watching these things for hours, they cannot be a 1-star review. So even though they're utter horseshit, I give online recipe handles 2 stars.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough because they're working. They're sucking in people like you and me. Don't get me wrong. I've bookmarked loads of them. I've never made
Yep.
one of them, but I've bookmarked
Nope.
loads. I've shared loads saying, oh, this is good. We should try it. We've never
Yep.
done one.
I did try to do this weird egg and cheese and toast thing once, and it was slop. And I had like 3 bites and threw it in the bin. I think we should have a break, Rich. And I would love listeners to tell us if there is a food advert in this break.
Welcome back. Was there a food advert? If there was, let us know. mildlyinformedpod@gmail.com. Actually, don't. If there was, actually don't care. But you can
I
email
kind of
us
care.
about our content. But do take interest in any messages from our sponsors.
We should just mention on the Patreon show last week, I officially broke down in order the 12 best months of the year. Mm-hmm. And in our Patreon episode this week, I think you are going to respectfully disagree and rank your own. That looks like I can't quite see the text because of the streaming quality. So that's a good teaser for me because I don't know what it said on it, but I'm very excited.
I have done my breakdown of all of the months of the year. They're slightly different to yours, and the Patreons will be able to hear that and hopefully join in the discussion later. If you don't subscribe to Patreon, I'm sorry, you are going to miss out. But that's your choice because you haven't yet become a Patreon.
Rich, tell me something that happened to you this week that wasn't as annoying as the RAF doing their job.
Chris, I think we've spoken before on Mildly Informed about how when we age, our opinions on things change spectacularly to what they were when we were younger people. I used to hate horror movies, but something's happened to me in the last couple of years, and I now love the horror genre. And this week, I watched the latest movie in the 28 Days, 28 Weeks franchise. I watched 28 Years Later, and I absolutely loved it.
I find that astonishing. You are entirely right in that historically, I wouldn't have seen you as a horror guy in a million years. I would say, however, I don't see myself as a horror guy, but I think there are excellent movies in the horror space. The original 28 ... movies I thought were good. I love the Alien franchise, or some of the Alien franchise. Are you saying you're converted to all horror now, or was this 28 film just really good?
Well, let me enlighten you a little bit more. So, I didn't watch the original 28 Days Later. I didn't watch 28 Weeks Later. I had to watch 28 Years Later for the radio show that I do on Absolute
Yep.
Radio because I was lucky enough to be able to speak to Danny Boyle. Now, I absolutely loved it. And that was my entry into the 28 ... franchise. I loved it so much that in the following 2 days, I watched 28 Days Later and then 28
Yeah.
Weeks Later. I watched 2 horror movies back to back. So I've done the whole franchise in 3 days. But then I look back, and over the last year and a bit, we've spoken about it on this podcast. I've also consumed The Last of Us. The
Completely,
2
yeah.
series. The first series, by the way, way better than the second. I don't think we ever touched back on it, but I thought the
We didn't
second
finish.
series
To be
was
continued.
hugely. Okay, oh, fair enough. I'll say no more. But once again, this has all happened within the last year, 2 years of my life. I never, as a kid, as a teenager, I grew up in the whole like Nightmare on Elm Street generation, all that kind of stuff. I was never watching any of that kind of thing. When all my mates were at school, never had any interest, didn't want to. All the Chucky stuff, I'm so sorry, no, not for me. But now I'll watch it all. So whether it is any of the sort of like doomsday zombie stuff or horror stuff, I bring it all on. I love it.
Can I ask a genuine question here? And I'm not judging you in any way, shape, or form. As a younger man, did you not watch horror because you thought it was scary or because you thought it was stupid? Like, what was your reason for not being into it?
I thought it was scary and I avoided it.
Yeah, okay. So things that you used to find scary, you no longer find scary. So that says something about you, doesn't it?
I feel like I'm now in some kind of psychiatry session.
Do you think, Rich, that as you have matured, the fear of the outside world has lessened, whilst you are more confident in your own place within it?
I feel that as I have matured, I have become more open minded. And when one becomes more open minded, I don't think you then walk around with the same level of fear.
Where are you with gore?
Uh, I struggle with casualty.
I haven't seen Casualty for so long, but I did watch it as a child, and I don't remember it being gory. Is it? Does it still exist?
Casualty? I don't know actually. I don't even know. I used to watch Holby City because I found Holby City was more. Holby City had more of like a storyline to it, whereas I think Casualty was just a chance for the BBC to show like gore and accidents.
Right, Holby City ended in 2022.
That's a shame.
Casualty. God, it's nearly 1,400 episodes going. Still releasing, apparently. And
Wow.
there was also um, Holby City, Holby Blue, Casualty 1900s, and Casualty at Holby City. Casualty 1900s, did they still have that nurse Charlie in it? Who was in it for like 150 years? He went
I
back in
think
time too.
let's be fair to Charlie because that's a bit absurd. I think the Casualty 1900s, Charlie was training. I don't think he'd actually qualified at that point.
They must have put him in it. I just want to see the cast. I want to see the cast. He must have been in it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. What was his name? What's the name of it? Oh, Bella Remberg was in it. Jason Watkins was in it. This is really weird. Alfie Allen was in it. What? I do not need to go down this wormhole on this show.
No, we don't. And let's be frank, we were talking about horror, and I think the BBC would actually kind of categorize Casualty and Holby as a recurring drama, not horror. But horror, as I mature, 5 stars. There's a place for it.
Wow. Just one closing thought on that. Would you go as far as the Saw movies?
I've not watched them. Chris, honestly, so much is ready for me.
I think that you should watch the Saw movies.
Should we watch one together? Can we have a movie night?
I love the idea of a movie night with you. I don't think I'm up for Saw, but I would, just to see you react to it. I think we should do it.
Fantastic.
Can we do it in the daytime though, with the curtains open?
Watch this space. It might even turn out to be a live episode of Mildly Informed.
Wow, that would be great. I'm in for it now. Only for the patrons though.
Chris, what else has been on your mind this week?
Rich, we talked last week about me and my terrible sad dog begging habits at chicken stalls for lunch. You know, I'm a man who likes chicken. What we didn't go into too much detail about, though, was generally what I eat for a lunch, which is largely a protein and salad and grains. That's pretty much every day. I'm a chicken or falafel and some leaves and some pulses, and that's me for lunch. I'm not a big lunch eater. I work quite hard in the afternoons. I have a large American team who obviously log in at lunchtime. So I've got to be on my game in the afternoon, which means a light lunch is really, really important for that. This week, however, I disgraced myself. And I do this every 6 months or so. And I am embarrassed by what I ate and the impact that it had on me. No, I didn't go and have 5 pints for lunch. If I had, I would have been in better form than I was after going to an excellent institution, the Breakfast Club. I don't know if you've been to the Breakfast Club in the past. I am a big fan of their products. However, they have something on their menu which they call Mr. Big Chicken. And I looked at the menu and saw Mr. Big Chicken and thought, well, obviously I'm having that, without paying full attention to the fact that it was a enormous breaded chicken breast served in an enormous English muffin with salad and sauces and a hash brown in it. And it was served with chips. And I ate every single last bit of it. And before I'd even left the restaurant, I was basically in a food coma and had to get dragged back to the office. And on what has been a hot week, spent the entire afternoon moaning about how much pain I was in, how sad I was with the world, and how I didn't really want to function anymore. The last time I did this, I got a wrap. And I was like, I don't normally have bread, but wraps, fine, aren't they? What did I have in my wrap? Breaded chicken and macaroni cheese in the wrap and chips. So it's like 350 days a year, I have normal lunches. And then once a month, I do some really bloody stupid things and ruin myself. And I eat every bit and I can't help myself. And I am disgusted with myself.
I'm a little bit worried about you because my perception of you as a dear friend is you look after your body as if it is a Mercedes Benz.
Don't get the reference for sure.
All right, a good car. All right, you train, right. you train and you eat well. But if I look at the last 25 minutes, we've been talking about how you are currently in a position where you are obsessed with mental social media recipes. And then you've just been telling me about how you have been eating things that Augustus Gloop would look at and go, that's a little bit too much for me. Are you okay?
I think that's a very good point, Rich. I think because I try to live my life so healthily, I think I'm letting these little avenues of pleasure sort of pop out the sides every now and then. And I don't think it's healthy.
My next question, because I've listened intently to what you've just described, actually sounds quite, I'd want to eat it, and I would be in the same food coma. What exactly are you reviewing?
That's a very good question. I'm reviewing, I think, the concept of a big lunch.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You're reviewing lunch. Let's boil everything down. You're reviewing. No. You are no. You're reviewing lunch. The size of it doesn't really matter. What you're reviewing is lunch. No. One of the 3 meals a day that humans have been eating for 2,000 years.
I genuinely not, because I have a very different review for a light lunch. And that might come at another point. I'm specifically like in the first review, you didn't review the RAF as a whole.
Fair point.
I am reviewing big lunches. Only big lunches. And when I say big, I mean carb-heavy lunches.
May I ask a question? On a day that you have a large lunch, do you then have dinner?
Last night I had a curry for dinner. And I was hungrier than normal.
Nothing that I've heard is easing the worry I have for you right now.
It was a vegan curry.
By the by.
Okay.
Not really. How many stars are you giving the concept of a large lunch?
1 star. People should not have big lunches. Unless people have got nothing to do with their lives. If you are listening or watching this right now and you literally have nothing to do, go to town. Go and have a chip and roast potato sandwich covered in rice for your lunch. Couldn't give a shit. But if you actually have a life worth living, have a light lunch. 1 star.
Isn't there some kind of phrase or saying where you have breakfast like a king, you have lunch like a prince, and you have dinner like a pauper? I do believe that is meant to be the healthiest way to eat. Now, if I was to only have one meal a day, if that's all I was allowed, I would want to have a big breakfast. And also, they say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day because you are breaking your fast.
Yeah, I don't know who they are. I'm not going to fall out with them. If it works for them, power to them.
I want to apologise to the listeners that have stuck with us through the 25 odd minutes of this episode so far, because it has been one of our most unhinged. Comments at any point, please. Mildlyinformedpod@gmail.com.
Rich, we have time before we go over to the Patreon, which is going to be excellent this week, for you to maybe reveal one more thing about your week.
In the UK this week, it's been really, really hot. There's been plenty of news talk about the first heat wave of the year. It's been really, really hot. Now, one of the things that this country doesn't do well with heat is cope. That is because we don't have a lot of air conditioning. You go to other places in the world that are more used to heat, there's air conditioning everywhere. Now, air conditioning makes life easier for your punters to move around in, but it also keeps food in, shall we say, the best nick. At the moment in the UK, if you walk into a newsagent's or a railway station cafe and you want to buy yourself a little snack for your journey home, there are some very, very, very melted chocolate bars to be had right now because they are melting in this heat. And here is my point. I think chocolate is at its best hot. I do not understand people that like to store chocolate bars in refrigerated units. I find that a cold chocolate bar can often take out a tooth or it could ruin the top of your mouth. But I enjoy a melted chocolate bar so much. I'd go as far as saying that some chocolate bars taste even better when they are soft. Imagine a Twix, all right? And it's been slightly melting away in the heat. You've still got the rigidity of the biscuit holding everything together, but the rest of it literally melts in your mouth. So, what I'm saying, what I'm reviewing is that in this hot period that we're in the UK right now, chocolate is at its best. I love hot chocolate, and I'm not talking about the drink.
I think this demonstrates, Rich, something that I always thought about you, which is that you're a sloppy, messy boy and you don't mind getting your hands dirty. And I think that is what it comes down to. I agree. The flavour comes out more when
Yep,
it is hot. The texture is not unappealing when it's hot.
agreed.
I think to talk about the Twix, for example, I'm not a massive fan of the Twix, but it's at its best when the three core ingredients are contrasting with each other. So the
Mhm.
softer the chocolate to go with the strong biscuit, and then there's somewhere in the middle caramel. Great, absolutely fantastic. Um, that said, sometimes like it gets a bit too icky. When I open it and I can't even properly open the chocolate bar because it's sort of, and then I find myself licking the wrapper. I feel a bit ashamed. It's
That's
tough.
annoying when that happens. It needs to kind of be at the right level where it's just softened. You don't want it to
Yeah.
be sticking to the wrapper. S- I think really the evidence that I need to put forward to show that chocolate is at its best, melted or soft, is the chocolate fountain. Right, you go to any posh events these days, wedding receptions, whatever they might be, christenings. People will have chocolate fountains. That is, in its very essence, melted chocolate with cheese or strawberries or marshmallows being dipped into it. You can't do that with solid cold chocolate. Melted chocolate is where it's at.
I really don't know the answer to this. Chocolate fountains. If you turned up to a wedding and you just happened to have a chocolate mold, like a silicon chocolate mold on you, and you just whipped it out of your pocket and you went up to the fountain and you filled your mold and you took it away and let it chill, would you genuinely get a quality chocolate out of that? Or is chocolate fountain chocolate something altogether different?
I thought for a second you were saying you wanted to get a silicon mold of melted chocolate and then like press it against your arse or something, and then eat like
What?
a, a
What?
set chocolate arsehole or something.
I mean, I hadn't thought of that before, but now you say it. No.
It's a great idea, isn't it?
What, like, is it the new version of the getting drunk at an office party and sitting on the photocopier? Is getting a silicon mold. Sitting
Imagine,
on.
imagine the market at Valentine's when you're offered the chance of presenting your loved one with your arse in chocolate form.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Here is my arse covered in goo.
Oh dear. The fun we're all having, I think, means we do agree that chocolate is at its best melted. 4 stars. Only 4, because if you go too far, it does get messy.
That's a very sensible review.
Are we
I've
at the
got nothing
point?
to say now. I've got nothing more to say to anyone. It ends earlier every week for me.
It does end earlier every week, doesn't it? If you have enjoyed or been angered in equal measure by anything that Chris and I have informed you about this week, find us on the socials, producer Chris, Richie Firth, or in the comments on our YouTube channel or on any of the TikTok shorts. Of course, you can email us, mildlyinformedpod@gmail.com. Chris, hold my hand. Let's hot foot it over to Patreon together. We'll see you there.